friends, here's Bob and Bree again. For those of you that don't know, we are pregnant and we are very excited to have accomplished this. It has not been easy. Unfortunately for us, we didn't get pregnant easily at all. We had to go through IVF, also known as in vitro fertilization.
We had fun trying that.
And anyway, we just wanted to come on here and share our story and share our experience with you all, and also to just give some encouragement. A lot of people have to find themselves having to do IVF to get pregnant. Sometimes it's because of issues with the mother or fertility issues with the father, or sometimes it's with both parties. There are various reasons why people would have to do IVF, but we just wanted to share our story and why we had to, and just encourage other people as well that are going through this, because it is a really long, rough journey. So here we go. Let's get into it. So we got married. Well, yeah, let's start there. We got married in February 2018, and we had a very, very small wedding, but it was amazing. It was the best. I actually recommend it. I know some people prefer big weddings, but I think something small and intimate that don't cost $1 million is a whole lot better. We were surrounded with people that we loved and that knew was very supportive of us, and we had a great time. So we got married, and after that, eventually we decided to try to get pregnant. So we started trying, and we had tried for a little over a year, I guess.
Sure.
We had been trying for a good amount of time by the time we decided to talk to my doctor. And then we had went to one of my appointments, and I went and spoke with her, and she suggested us looking into a fertility clinic, which actually is in our area. The one that we ended up going to was called Shady Grove Fertility. So she had suggested it, and we were like, okay, well, let's check it out, because we had been trying for a while and we weren't getting anywhere. And I have to say, that was a little stressful. I don't know about for you, but it was for me, because I always knew that I wanted to have another kid. So once I got married to the right guy this time, and we're happy, we're happy and love and all of that, I knew, I wanted us to have a baby together, especially because he has never had a child. So I was excited to do it with my new husband, and also for him to have the experience of it all. And so we were trying, and we weren't getting anywhere, and it was getting frustrating. And then also, like, at first I was very open about that, yeah, we're gonna have a baby. And after a while, when you notice nothing is happening the way you were hoping, you start to change your tune a little bit. And after a while, if people brought it up, I would just be like, no, I'm done. Just because, you don't want to have to go through talking to people about that and telling them, well, we've been trying and blah, blah, blah. Or you hear other people are getting pregnant and you're genuinely excited for them. You really are. But then it still stings just a little bit, because you want to experience the same joy. So we had been through that, and it was like, you know what, let's find out what's going on. So we finally decided to go to this fertility clinic and see what was going on. We reached out to them, and that was October 2020. That's when we started this process. At the end of that year, we reached out, scheduled an appointment, did a consult. Then after that, they decided, okay, let's bring you guys in for testing. So they started off with me, had me go in and do, I think it was 2 tests. One to see if I had enough eggs, make sure my egg count was okay, and make sure everything looked good. And also they looked at my uterus and everything to make sure there was nothing, no blockage or anything that would stop or slow his sperm down or stop him from getting to my eggs. So we did that test and we found out that everything was fine. So after we did my test, it was time for Bob to get his test done. And he had what's called a semen analysis. And with the semen analysis, they check the sperm and they do what's called, I believe, a sperm wash to clear it up and see what's going on. So they did it one time and then they were like, let's have them come back and do it one more time. So they did another. And at that, do you want to tell them what they found, or you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. So once we did that, we got the results, and they said that it was a low sperm count and low morphology, which is the number of normal shaped sperm. So they were like, that's what's going on. That's why you guys haven't been successful. Here are your options. You guys would be an excellent candidate for IVF. And we were like, IVF? We never would have imagined us having to do that. So we talked about it and worked through it, and we decided to start the process. What a lot of people do not tell you about IVF is that, because a lot of people are like, yeah, let's do it, or it's a great option for people that have problems with fertility, but they don't tell you that the process of it, it's tough. It's tough on the body for the female, and it's tough mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest part.
So you want to share some of your feelings or what you went through with that once we, found out and started it?
Yeah, I guess I could.
Just briefly.
It was, it makes you realize that you aren't what you think you are or what you hoped you were, but you also realize that in other ways that are more important than what you think of yourself, or at least for me as a man, that there are other ways that are more important to qualify yourself as a man than just fertility. So
yes,
it's it was really tough.
It was, and I think it's important for us to share this part of it, because I feel like there are a lot of people that feel like, and not just men but women too, that feel like, what's wrong with me? I can't make babies, or say stuff like that. And it's like, hey, that's not, and this is what I stress to him a lot, that's not what makes you a man. And for any women that are going through this, that's not what makes you a woman. My biggest thing for him was, I'm not going to stop loving him. I'm not going to see him as less than a man. Those are things that he cannot control. The things that make me see you as less than a man is how you are, what you do. Like when you decide you don't want to take care of your family or your responsibilities, stuff like that makes me look at you like, you ain't no man. But that's never been a problem with Bob. So my biggest, it took time for me to understand or to process, because for me, in my eyes, he's all the man that I need. And he is. And even though we had to do this a different way, it doesn't mean that it'll still be our kids. So even though we're not doing this naturally, this is still going to be his little bad behind child that I have.
You
okay?
can say ass.
Whatever. Either way, it's still your child.
Yes.
But
And he is going to raise hell. He already is.
He is. He or she. But we are. But either way, it was a big a big mental and emotional process to get through, and it required, I guess, time for him. I realized I had to give him time, because no matter what I said, he has to feel this way, and he has to process his feelings and work through it and be okay. And that's what he did. And
still am, to a degree.
Well, and that's fine. It is. So we had to go through that, just, I guess, the shock of knowing that, okay, this is what we have to do. And also, once we started going through the journey, it was a lot mentally as well, because it's a long process. It takes time to do it, several tests, and then once you start the cycle, so many medications and injections, and so mentally and emotionally, it was a lot on us.
And every step seemed like it was a month process.
Yes. Yes. We literally, actually, we did our last embryo transfer May, and now we're pregnant. But remember, we started this in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a process, but we've been working through those emotions. We've been getting counseling separately, as well as we got marriage counseling. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. And there is nothing wrong with that. So we processed that, and we started our cycle. So we started, but actually before we started it, we decided to get genetic testing. That was an option available to us, just to, be ahead of the game and see if there was anything we were going to have to be concerned about. So we went through that, and then we started the process of IVF. We started that in May 7th of 2021. That process was, first we had to give blood and tests done, and then I was doing everything, getting injections like crazy. What?
No.
What? Am I wrong?
No.
Okay. Then I started a bunch of medications, and I had to do these injections every day. And these injections, the medicine that I was given was helping my body to produce eggs for them to take. So you know how every month when you have your period or your menstrual cycle, you release one egg. Well, these medicines helps your body to produce more. So that's what I had to go through, and everything is about timing. I had to take all my medications the same time every day. Started doing that, and then I started going to the doctor like every other day, so they could monitor everything and make sure my levels were okay. So every other day I was going to do blood work, and I was going to get an ultrasound, and not the one that they do over your belly. So, and
what kind?
I think they can figure out what kind. So,
would it be a mega sound then? Because that was more.
Are you done? Are you done?
Okay.
Let's focus.
Why do you interrupt me so much?
You're interrupting me.
I'm supplementing the conversation.
So I had to get ultrasounds and blood work every other day, on top of doing these injections every day. And this part was tough for me because I don't like needles. I really don't. It still amazes me that I've come through this.
But you married the biggest brick of them all.
I did. That still amazes me too. So it was a lot of injections. And then another thing that I learned that they don't tell you is when you start doing these injections, the closer you get to your egg retrieval, you get bloated, you get uncomfortable, it hurts. I mean, I think once we went to my appointment, I couldn't even stand up straight.
Yeah.
I was in a lot of discomfort. So I had to take these medications, and then once they decided that I was ready.
What's crazy is the eggs are microscopic. You can't
Yes,
see them.
they are so small, but
it made a lot of change in her.
it made so many changes. I looked pregnant, even though I wasn't yet. I looked pregnant, and it was so uncomfortable. So we go finally to the we go back to the fertility center, and for the day of our egg retrieval, when they take all the eggs out and they put you to sleep and they take it out, and child, I was ready. As soon as I got up in there, I was like, take me out right now, get these things up out of me. It was so uncomfortable. I was in so much pain. So they did that, and this part is important to me, or I'm very grateful, because we are truly blessed, because we came out with a lot of eggs. How many eggs did we have when at the retrieval?
29 were retrieved, 27 were viable, 18 were fertilized, 11 made it to the blastocyst stage, one first implantation.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So then it was a total of 3 abnormal.
Right. Well, then they refroze them when they thawed. One didn't make it, and then there was another one.
That's right.
That was not viable.
Yes. So, and we'll get more into that later. But at the beginning, when they took out all of the embryos, like you said, we started off with 29, which was such a blessing to me, because there are a lot of women that don't have many eggs at all. I remember when I was in my room, everything was sectioned off, but it was separated by a curtain. So I'm here in my little spot, and there was a lady next to me on my left and a lady next to me on my right. And it's just a curtain between us. And then, they take us into the room for our procedure and bring us back to recover and send us on our way. So a lady that was next to me to my right, I remember the doctor came after her retrieval, and I think he told her she only had like 2 or 3 eggs that came out. And that's just how many came out. You don't know if those are all good, healthy eggs, or if they'll make it through the rest of the process. So it was just, to me, I'm just very grateful and very blessed that we had a lot of eggs to work with, because a lot of people don't. So we did that, and then what happened? Then we went home. We went home because that retrieval put me down. I was in pain for a couple of days.
Yeah.
It was rough, and I had to recover from that. So a lot of people, you have 2 options once you do your egg retrieval. Once they do that, take out the eggs and they check and see what's good. They keep what's good, and then he does his part and provides the sperm. That's the only part he had to do through this process. And he provides the sperm, and then they hook the sperm and the eggs up, mix them up, let them fertilize, and then they go through what's called a blastocyst stage, and then you find out, how many make it through that and how many are still okay. So we went through that, and then some people do what's called a frozen embryo transplant or a fresh one. I think it's called fresh embryo transplant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fresh one is when shortly after you do your egg retrieval, when they take them out and then they hook it up and it goes through its process. If you're ready and you decide you want to, you can go right ahead. Like, I think it's like within between a week to a couple of days, between a week.
5 to 7 days.
Yeah, and then you can go on ahead and get your retrieval. Your
implantation.
Yes, get the embryo transfer, because at that point it's not just the egg, it's the embryo. So you can get that put in and go on. But for some people, and it just depends on the situation, any health concerns they have. For us, it was best for us to, because they were concerned that I had of me getting a condition called OHS, over hyperstimulation, because I had, I guess, a lot of eggs, and they were concerned about me not recovering as well. So they had to give me time to recover, and we did what was called a frozen embryo transfer. And they froze our embryos until we were ready. If you want, you can, after that, and you're recovered and everything's good, you can do your transfer. Or some people I've noticed, they wait and they're like, oh, well, we'll do our transfer in a couple of months or next year or whatever. It's your option. We wasn't finna wait that long. We getting old, so we wanted to get this popping. We are. So after I was recovered and everything was okay, we started our frozen embryo transfer. May 31st, 2021 is when I began the process. So at this point, you have to start another set of different meds to prepare your body to receive the embryo. Started that on the 31st, and we did our embryo transfer on July 2nd, 2021. So we did that. We go in, and you don't have to be asleep for this part. You go in, and they ask you to have your bladder a little bit full, I guess, to make things easier for them to see. My bladder was too full.
Yeah.
It was very uncomfortable.
They made you pee twice?
Once or twice, probably twice. I don't know. They did make me pee because I was drinking too much water. So, but we did it. You go in and they prop you up and get ready, and they insert it. They have a tool that they use, and they place the embryo inside of your uterus, and after that they tell you to just go home and relax. No, don't be active or refrain from exercising for a few days. No sex, just relax so you can allow the embryo to implant and attach and do what it needs to do. So this became a bit of a waiting game as well, because they have you wait about a week or two before they have you come back in, and then you do a blood test to check for the pregnancy hormone HCG. So we were waiting, but to be honest, I would say about after a week I started getting symptoms.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, this time I had my symptoms. I had heartburn like crazy. Oh my goodness, I had to sleep sitting up in a chair one time because I could not lay down.
I wake up in the middle of the night and she's sitting up like a psychopath in a chair staring at me.
I wasn't staring at you, I was sleeping.
Okay.
Either way, the heartburn was the worst. My sense of smell was insane. It was like, okay, we're pregnant. So I already knew, but we waited, and we go in and we do the blood work, and later that day they call us and they're like, you're pregnant, congratulations. These are your HCG levels. So we're like, okay. And then after you find out you're pregnant, they have you go back about 2 or 3 more times to check your blood to see if your HCG numbers are increasing, because there's certain numbers that they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So we go through that, and then they're like, okay, come on in for your first ultrasound. So we're like, yeah. We go in and we see our little peanut, and we so excited.
And you can see the heartbeat.
Yes. We were geeked.
We're there, 5 weeks and 3 days? I think he was.
I don't know.
6 weeks.
Okay, I think you're right. So the only thing though about that ultrasound was she said that the baby was looking just a little bit small. So she said, we want you to come back in a week. We'll do another ultrasound, see if the baby's okay and is catching up and looking the size they're supposed to. So we were like, okay. So we go home. I'm still feeling pregnant. Going about our business, go throughout the week. And August 6th, we go in for our ultrasound, and she's like, move this way. Try and move this way. Hold your breath for a minute. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And that's when she told us that the baby wasn't alive. The baby
miscarried.
Yes, we miscarried. I believe the baby
What's
stopped
crazy
growing.
Is the first ultrasound was 5 weeks and 2 days, and they measured it at 5 weeks and 3 days. So it was literally the day after that first
Exactly.
ultrasound.
The baby was dead before that day that we found out. We just didn't know it. And I had no clue. I still felt pregnant. I still had symptoms. So that was a tough day. It was a very tough day. I was scheduled to go to work that day, that weekend. I called off. And
It was a Thursday.
no, I thought it was a Friday. Because I called off that day. And were the girls
Yeah,
gone
you called
already?
off all weekend. Girls
Yes,
weren't
I
here.
did. Thankfully. And now looking back, that was such a blessing because we actually hadn't told them we were pregnant yet. So for them to be gone and for us to be able to be home and to be alone and to allow ourselves to grieve and process it, it was a blessing that they weren't there. So yeah, that's right. It was in the summer. That's right. So they were gone. That was the weekend that they were with their dad.
It was a Wednesday that it happened.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it
I
was.
specifically remember we found out. Either way, the point is we found out and we stayed home that weekend and we did nothing. We did nothing but cry and just process it. So we had to, they told me I had options. I could take some medicine and it would force me to bleed and have everything come out, or they could schedule me for what's called a DNC to remove the baby. And so that's what we chose to do. And on August 9th, that's when we had our DNC. And that was really rough. One thing I wanted to share was a big thing for me was I didn't want to forget my baby. So, well, before we get to that, we had them test the embryo, or the baby, I'm sorry. We had them test the remains to see what happened, what went wrong. Because we're like, was it something wrong with one of us, or what happened? Right. Yeah, okay. And we got the report.
Came back with a trisomal 6 error, which is 3 copies of the number 6 chromosome, which caused the
miscarriage.
The miscarriage.
So it turned out to be an abnormal embryo, but we didn't know. And
of course, the way we are, you and I, always joking back and forth about stuff. We had actually named the baby. Well, I kept calling him Megatron.
He did. He called the baby Megatron.
And she was like, "No, we ain't calling him Megatron. So call him Megatron." And it stuck.
It stuck. I said, if you can't fight him, join him. Yes.
Just got to put a little soul on it, right?
And we were hoping for a boy. So then we find out, they were able to find out the sex of the baby when they did the test. Charlie was a girl. So, back to what I was saying. I just wanted to have something to remember my baby, or our baby. And our baby. And so I decided to go and get a shadow box and make like a little memory box. So I'm going to show you the box. At the time, we didn't know she was a girl. we just knew we was having a boy. So this is my shadow box. And as you can see, it's blue. And at the top we have, there we go, Megatron. And these are the things that I put in here. This photo right here is the day that we had our embryo transfer.
Yep.
And this needle just represents us doing the IVF. This right here is a letter that Dad wrote to our sweet baby. This is a picture of her. And these right here are my my wristbands. The first one is for when we did our egg retrieval. Has a date and information there. The second one is when we did our frozen transfer, embryo transfer, so when we got her. And the third one is when we did the DNC and had to have her removed. So this is just our little memory of our baby that we'll always have. So we keep this in our room with us. And yes, I think it was a big shocker for me because I never, especially since, we have Summer and Malia, I never thought I would have a miscarriage. And so to process that, and even before the baby's born, at least for mothers, you love that child already. You're crazy about this baby. And to go through the process of losing it at any stage in pregnancy is tough. But we're still here. And we worked through it, and we decided to continue and to try again. So I had to recover from that process, and then right after that we caught COVID.
Yep.
We're
number one.
We got Rona. So then we had to recover from that.
Yeah.
And then Then finally, when we were in the clear, we decided to try again in October of 2021. October of 2021, my nurse sends me my schedule, and I'm like, okay, let's get it started. When you first start for your embryo transfer, you start on birth control. So that's what I started. Then I started having lower right abdominal pain. So we're like, okay, what the heck is going on? We go to get tested and find out what's happening. Turns out that I developed a fibroid, as well as I had a small hernia. So we had to stop the cycle. That was tough. And
we also did the genetic testing on the rest of the embryos at that point.
Yes. So we had to, I had to be seen and get cleared and make sure everything was okay. And then we decided we had to, there was a test that we had to do. It's called a PGTA. Well, you don't have to do it. You have the option to do it. And this time we chose to do it.
It's expensive.
It is very expensive. Now, thank God we have very good insurance. So it was a blessing because we did not have to pay for it much through this process. And for those of you that don't know, IVF is super expensive.
Yeah.
So the majority of it we did not have to pay for. But this PGTA test costs about $3,600 or something.
$3,400.
Yes. And so the first time we was like, nope, we ain't got it. But this time we were like, you know what? Let's get it. So we paid for it and we got the test. And I'm so glad that we did. Yeah. Because
that's when we found out that one of them didn't survive the thaw.
Yes.
And one of them was
I think it was two, wasn't it, that were abnormal? It was one that didn't survive the thaw.
Megatron was the first.
No, I'll check it later. Either way, at least one of them was abnormal once we found out. And our concern was, we don't want to say, okay, well, let's try again without getting the test. And we didn't know how many were abnormal. So we could have had miscarriage after miscarriage before we finally got to a healthy embryo.
Right.
And I was not about to go through that again. So we decided, we paid for the test. We got the genetic test, the test done to make sure we had healthy embryos and there were no more abnormalities or anything. And once we found out how many there are, well, which one was, then we had them get rid of it. And once I was cleared to start again, then we were like, okay, let's do this again. So we finally started our next cycle. We started that, and we had our transfer date for May 20th this year, 2022. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So we had our transfer date, and we were nervous, very nervous this time going into it. Of course, naturally, because of what we experienced the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So after we did it, we had to wait again to see if it took. And once again, I knew before we went in for testing, I had symptoms again. And sure enough, when I go about 2 weeks, I guess, later, they're like, you're pregnant. And what blew us away was this time, it was just so different. Like,
it was, yeah.
It just felt different the way it was done. And even once we found out, they checked our HCG levels again, and the numbers were completely different.
Yeah.
And so now looking back, we realize with the last embryo, we were doomed from the jump because our HCG numbers were significantly lower.
Yep. And
they were increasing, but not enough. I think at the last time the first round when we did it, our HCG, the highest was only like 600 or 800 something, right?
I think it just broke 1,000. Yeah.
Yes. And this time, with this pregnancy, the last time we had our HCG numbers checked, it was just under 3,000. Yeah. And that's where it was supposed to be.
Yep.
We just didn't know. So we had our numbers checked, and everything was a whole lot better, but we're still nervous. So we go in for the first ultrasound, and they were like, the baby looks good. The baby looks the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
it was
5 weeks and 3 days or something.
Yeah, it measured a day or two.
A day, yeah, like
bigger,
a day or two early.
Yeah, bigger than what it was supposed to be. So we're like, okay, cool. Still nervous, still on edge. And then we went back, a couple weeks. We go back for another ultrasound. And this was really nerve-wracking because this was around the time frame that, we lost the first one. So we're just super anxious. And we go and look at that joker. Oh my gosh, that baby was fine.
Yeah, like, he's 5 weeks.
He was like 3 days ahead, was it? Or no, it was a little bit more?
Yeah,
or was
he
it
was
3?
3 days ahead of where he should have been at that point.
Yes, and it was a huge difference.
Yeah,
like,
and the heartbeat, sounds like it's around 170 beats or 167 beats per minute. Yeah.
Right where it needed to be. And what blew me away was when we first did our ultrasound, it was like so small. And this time it was like, it was big. So we were like, oh, this baby is fine. Okay, we're going to be all right. So sure enough, we're still pregnant. And God is so good. We are doing good.
Tell him what he did?
What? Who did?
What Bruno did to us?
Oh, we did have a brief scare. So we finally finished with our fertility clinic. Once you start off with the fertility company that you're with, they only get you to a certain point. Once you make it to that point, then they give you the boot and you go to a regular OB.
Yeah.
So that was at 10 weeks for us. Once we hit the 10 weeks, we had that last ultrasound. They were like, baby looks great, heartbeat's great. you guys are good. They gave us our final instructions and paperwork to give to our new doctor. And so I found a new place to go.
Right.
And we had our first OB appointment. So we're excited, and we go in and they give us the rundown about things, and I ask my million questions. And then she's like, okay, we're going to listen to the baby's heartbeat. So we're like, okay, yay. Child, I have to put that thing on my stomach, and we heard nothing. And she's like, well, hold on, let me just move it around, and nothing. And we're like, I know you lying.
Yeah, and then she said, all right, well, I'm going to schedule you guys to go to our main office.
And we're like,
when? She's right now.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's when it kind of hit us, and then it was, oh crap.
I wouldn't have had it any other way, though. I was like, if you're not hearing a heartbeat, I need to know, right? Like, we're not waiting a few days to go and get no, we're going somewhere. Somebody finna look at my belly. So she sent us to their other location to get an ultrasound to get a look in there. We go. That was the quietest drive we have ever driven together. And the fastest.
Have the grace to Upper Chesapeake in 20 minutes.
You got there like really fast, and we were quiet the whole time.
Yep.
And praying like crazy. We get there, and they had already called over and told them we were coming. We're in the waiting room, waiting to be called. Come to find out, sonogram machine was down. And that's the only reason we came.
Yep.
So we were waiting for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And they still didn't have it up. I talked to them, and they were like, well, this is what we'll do. Since we're not able to get it going, we'll have you guys schedule you to go, maybe to the labor and delivery area or down or somewhere to get an ultrasound to look at the baby. So I was like, do something, because I got to know. I was determined I was not leaving until I knew my baby was okay. Right. So a midwife comes and calls us, and she's like, I'm so sorry about the wait. I'm so sorry about this. Why don't we do this? We'll have you guys.
She said, let me try to find.
Yeah, let me try to listen.
Yeah, try to listen and find the heartbeat.
And if I don't, then we'll get you scheduled somewhere else.
Yeah, they're going to send us to advanced radiology.
Oh,
yeah. I think it was the first floor of that building.
So we were like, okay, that's fine. We go in the back room, and she gets out her little device, and she starts looking, and boom.
It picks it up.
We hear the heartbeat. I mean, I have never, that feeling of relief, it was, oof. Because all I was thinking, and I'm sure you were too, was we lost another baby.
Yeah.
We were terrified. I mean, both of us bawling and praying and terrified that we lost another baby. And she found the heartbeat just like that.
Yep. She said, oh, there it is. And it was strong as ever. 100 and some beats a minute.
And we were just so, so grateful. So I don't know if homeboy was up in here hiding and playing games. I don't know. I don't know what happened or why homegirl could not find it at first. But I'm so glad this other midwife did. We were so grateful and just so overcome with emotion.
She said, don't cry. You're going to make me cry.
We was just crying all over the place. So that was our first OB appointment, but it was okay. And we're still pregnant. And I'm just so grateful. God has been so good. It has been a very long, emotional roller coaster, but God has kept us, and we're so grateful. And we're so happy to still be expecting. I was just talking to Bob the other day, like, this pregnancy ain't right. Like, I did not go through these symptoms with the girls. This little baby been kicking my butt, but I don't care. I'm still happy, and it just means that my body's doing what it needs to do to help this baby grow, and we're just excited. We're due February 5th next year, and we just can't wait to meet our baby. So that is our IVF story. We hope you have enjoyed it, and to those of you that are still in the journey, we are sending love and prayers and encouragement. Hang in there. If you don't have support, get some encourage, someone to that you can lean on and have, because it's tough. It's tough on the body, and it's tough mentally and emotionally. It's tough on your relationship.
Yeah.
So if you don't have support, you need to get some. But hang in there, be encouraged, don't quit. And that's all. Do you have anything you want to share?
No, you said it. It's a lot harder than you would ever imagine it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even the physical part, it's really the emotional and mental part of it.
It is. That physical part was hard too, though, because I don't like needles. I had a lot of needles.
Yes, you did. You had a lot of needles. But
it really is a lot mentally and emotionally. And also, I just want to reiterate too that if for whatever reason, you're not able to conceive on your own, it does not make you less than. It does not mean that you're not a woman. It does not mean that you are not a man. It just means you just need a little help making a person. That's all. And that's okay. You're still amazing, and it doesn't devalue you.
Right.
And I think that is so important to stress, because you go through a lot of feelings with this process. But yeah, that's all we have. Thank you guys for sitting here with us and watching us and listening to us share our story. And we hope that it encourages someone. If you see us and you have questions or whatever, feel free to ask. We're pretty open about it. We've been through it, and we're still here.
Yep.
Praise the Lord. So that's all. Y'all take care. Be blessed.